now I'm kind of more set on what I would hopefully like want as my life and how I make my money as an adult. I thought I wanted to be classically trained all the time and like, you know, be official, and what Carlos said just resonated a lot, and it was like, I know I'm gonna be super unhappy if I like go to Juilliard or, you know, like stay in a conservatory because I'm just drawn to jazz and R&B and all that. I don't want to do classical. How would I go about being in an environment if I did go to college, because I want to, but I'm trying to find a way to keep the genres and what I'm already working on right now a part of my college life, so that I can feel like I worked hard on it.
Luckily, there are schools now. I remember when I was in school at some of the places I went, there weren't jazz programs, and now there are jazz programs. I know for a fact that the university, because you're in Florida, right?
Yeah.
I know for a fact that the Frost School of Music at the University of Miami is not so concerned with classical music. You know, they have like cello teachers and violin teachers and oboe teachers, but they're like, classical because it's Miami and it's MTV land.
That's a high
But they have a strong interest in multi-dimensional music stuff and other genres. There's the Berklee School of Music in Boston, which has a whole bunch of like jazz programs and bluegrass music and all these
There's
different.
so many
My
schools.
concern with those is that there's like trillions of people trying to get in,
Right.
and then I feel like how do I market myself so that they see me as like, well, above all these other, you know, jazz singing girls and violinists and whatever, like what would make them want me over
I mean,
them?
I would say it's the same thing we just talked about. I
Teacher
mean,
connections.
connections. You just have to do the work and try to make a connection.
Same concept, different.
Same
Same concept, just different sounds.
Linda,
Yeah,
are
I'm
you-
so worried.
Are you interested in the audio production side of things at all, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've been definitely into that with
Okay.
people who are already doing it.
Well,
I'm scared.
and it makes me think. Well, a couple things. Like U of M, for instance. I haven't heard you play much this year, except for a really short audition. But U of M, for instance, I mean, this is not the most competitive school to get into. I mean, Miami for classical. And then once you, I mean, say you don't get into the jazz program, if jazz is your thing, you go in as a viola student there, maybe on a full ride.
Make
And
friends.
you start doing the jazz thing, you do the pop thing, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Same is true for any of the programs that have jazz programs. At Berklee too, I don't think Berklee is like, I wouldn't worry so much about getting in. It's more about how are you going to find a program. And like Carla said, there are actually more and more programs that work for that. And programs like, I don't know so much about Tamara here, the program, maybe you guys have been talked to about it by some of the Oberlin people, which is like an audio engineering program. But we have a similar program at Michigan, and some of those people were basically getting a bachelor's and a BFA in like popular music. And there's in Michigan, there's classical, jazz, and that. So you would graduate from a program like that, and there's Michigan, Oberlin, Berklee, Miami. There are 4 schools right there that would be like perfect for you, where you could graduate with audio recording and engineering and production skills, pop music performance, jazz, R&B, whatever, classical. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, there's a lot of schools
Make
now.
that paper.
I mean, so much that Juilliard had no, they had a jazz program, then they had for a long time no jazz program, and now they brought it back. You know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty. You just have to do the research and start making connections.
Yeah.
You get bombarded with the classical type of
That's what we're here to say. It's not all about that.
Yeah, no.
But that will help with other things too. That's something that'll make you stand out. If you've got 6 chops on the viola, that'll make you stand out at Berklee. Not everyone who goes to Berklee can play an instrument amazingly.
Wait, are you gonna be a senior?
Yeah.
You also should, well, it's maybe a little, I don't know if it's a little late. You should look at some programs during the year to see if you can, like a 1 or 2 week institute or something. Jazz
Henry
institute.
Mancini.
Yeah, and
They don't-
which is
Doesn't insist.
it's in Miami, I think now.
Wait, you haven't?
I think so.
Yeah, because
I was
I'm
looking at
there.
it.
so-
Oh, okay. Yeah, you should think about it.
Literally.
I was just looking at it the other day.
It's bad. I don't know. Hi, Cameron.
Okay, so I'm constantly stuck between classical and contemporary, and like my mom, I used to be really in love with rock music, and I still am, and so my mom wants me to have like even balance, but my teacher is like, we should try out for the contemporary youth orchestra, yeah, I want to be in that. I want to be in the Cleveland Orchestra Youth Orchestra.
Yeah, Koyo.
Love Koyo.
So I don't like Rush Blue because they both want me to have a balance, but I don't like music with a passion.
Well, Koyo plays contemporary music.
Yeah,
They
when you
always have a piece or
do you
something.
mean contemporary like new music or contemporary like popular music?
Like, well, I don't know that contemporary youth orchestra.
Okay.
So, I mean, I just don't want to be there because everyone.
I think contemporary youth orchestra plays contemporary music.
I don't know.
That's what I thought. I was in Koyo for like 8 or 9 years. So, Koyo always has, they do both. They play classical music and they play contemporary music. So, I would suggest Koyo.
I mean, it's okay if they have like one piece
Right.
or like two, I don't care, but not like this straight
Right.
contemporary.
Well, you know what I would say to your mom? They're 2 different levels of orchestras. Koyo's a higher level of orchestra.
You want to be in the best.
You want to be in the
orchestra.
best orchestra that you can be in.
That's right.
So Koyo's the highest level in the city.
Because all these things are related.
That's what I would say to your
If you
mom.
go on to
I can
music,
say it to your mom. But
that's if you go on to music, you'll all first of all your attitudes towards
Right.
all types of music will change drastically over the years.
Right.
But also you will all play early music. You will all play new
Well,
music. You will all-
I think my quartet is a very good example of that. Like we just released an album of Bach, which for quartet doesn't exist, and so now there's a Baroque string quartet out there. And like we played pop music on our recital here for you guys, and pieces that were written in the last 5 years, say, and pieces that were written in the 1800s. So it's like from like hundreds of years of music. Like we play all of it, and so these lines blur,
Yeah.
especially this day. These days.
yeah. In a way, you don't want to get too specialized too soon. You want to be able to master
And you want to do the highest level thing.
the highest level first of everything, and then you specialize. Then you go to early music or something, or you go to contemporary, but you don't want to new music or something. You don't want to. You want to be able to play everything at a, yeah.
They told me like, if you want to be in a Cleveland Orchestra, you should definitely try out for the Cleveland Orchestra Youth Orchestra. That's kind of what I want to do.
Honey, you're speaking. This is like exactly.
This
me.
is Jenna.
This is like me at your age. Like I said, I'm from
It
Cleveland.
doesn't really happen like that.
It
Yeah.
doesn't happen
It's a
like
nice
that.
story,
Yes, it doesn't happen like that. But that was like my dream at your age. I actually said it in the local paper, the Plain Dealer. I was like one of those students of the week or something. I said I wanted to be in the Cleveland Orchestra by the time I was 25. Like it's that easy. It doesn't work that way. There is no direct way to the Cleveland Orchestra besides practice and like prayer. So
Mostly prayer, to be fair.
yeah, most people getting hired aren't from Cleveland. They might have gone to CIM, that's a different story, but not from Koyo. There's 2 people, I think, and that is just rare. That's just like, it's not really the norm. So, but you do, the thing about Koyo is it's the best youth orchestra in town. And you want to be in that orchestra, because you're going to be surrounded by the best, and you're going to learn orchestra music at a high level at your age, which is very important. I was playing Tchaikovsky, Beethoven, you name it, at your age, so it's fantastic.
He's not.
All right, wow. Michelle?
How would you decide on what kind of music you'd like to go into? Like, if you want to go into chamber or orchestra or solo?
I think the best way to do that is to have as many of those experiences now as possible. Like for instance, you're doing hardcore string quartet here, then maybe go to an orchestra camp or be in your local youth orchestra, and then maybe try to play a recital of your own music, or try to win like a little concerto competition and play a solo with an orchestra, and just have as many experiences as possible, and then you can walk, and little by little, the thing that you have the most fun at will sort of emerge. And then you have to figure out, I think Oprah says it, how do you find a way to make money at that thing? And then that's, sort of the other part of that. But I think just doing as much as you can, will lead you to that, answering that question.
I would say this, if anyone here is thinking about being a soloist, you need to think about that right now.
Yeah.
This is when the time when soloists are shredding 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like 7, 8, people have to give up their lives to do that, like maybe homeschooling and stuff. Because it's a totally different thing. So if you're even contemplating a solo life, start planning practicing now. Minimum, I would say 4 hours.
Michelle, you have your question.
You have another?
Part B? What's your
Yeah.
Part B question?
Well, it's just a whole different question.
Oh, We'll cycle back to
We'll
you.
cycle, we'll come back to
Julius.
How would you write a professional email to a teacher?
Good question.
Yeah. Well, I know, I mean, I basically, what I sort of said is literally maybe all that I would write, you know. I'm, you know, dear so-and-so. Oh, don't, and maybe how you address people is important. If they're professors, nobody doesn't like being called professor. Dear Professor so-and-so.
Okay.
You don't want to have to assume, do they have a doctorate, do they not, whatever. Dear Professor so-and-so. And if they're not a professor, they'll be tickled by it.
And also, then they know for what reason you're getting in touch with them.
That's right.
Because there are a lot of professors who are, you know, soloists and say, well, hello, Mr. Perlman.
Yeah.
That means maybe this is a music-related thing. Or hello, Professor Perlman, that means
A
it's an
Juilliard thing,
academic
yeah.
Juilliard thing. You know?
So, dear Professor so-and-so, my name is blank. I am from blah, I'm a violinist, whatever. I really admire your blank, your teaching, your students. I really admire your recordings. I really admire. I saw you play in this thing. I saw you give a master class. Some connection, and then the punchline.
Hit it.
Yeah, the punchline. I see that you're coming to my town on this date. I'd really love to play for you if at all possible. Or I'm going to be in New York on such and such time. I would really love to play for you if at all possible. Thank you. Period. Send.
And make sure that your information for response, like phone number, mailing address even, is on their email address for sure, which is being up there anyway, or website, in your
Yeah.
closing.
And that's right. All your and they're going to get back to you. I mean, almost always.
I'll say that the most important thing when writing a professional email is to be brief. I can't tell you, I look back at the emails that I wrote to teachers when I was your age, and they're like heart-wrenching essays of like, you know,
Don't do it.
when I was 2, I saw this thing on Sesame Street and like all this other stuff. Nobody has time, anybody got time for that?
We get a million emails a day.
I get so many emails a day that literally I need to be like, who's this from? What's it about? And how do I feel about reading this?
Yeah, that's super important. And then when they write you back, because they most likely will, you better respond. Make sure you respond, because that looks
Right away, as
real
soon as
shaky.
possible,
Yeah.
as soon as possible.
Also, if you're gonna send, some people wanna send YouTube clips, which I wouldn't send in the first email. I would probably send, if they
You
write
can
back and they
mention,
say.
I have recordings or videos
I
I
can
can like,
send it,
I can
yeah.
send
Right.
if you want.
Make sure it's not like a busted video, like it's a serious video. You know, I mean, like seriously, I mean, you know, your dog can't be running in and out of the room, my mom can't be on the
Listen,
phone.
some of you have very interesting
Yes.
homes.
Yes,
Uh-oh.
it's real.
Yeah, I had a window into all of your homes if you
That's
did
so
a home
funny.
video, and this is a perfect example of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So you think about where and how your video is, and does it look professional? And what you're wearing,
Exactly.
things like that, because I'm looking at that, you know, like, so think about those things.
So yeah, and be respectful, be polite, but don't be afraid of any of these people.
Yeah.
They're most of them want to teach great kids.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
And also don't take rejection, like, personally, you know, they don't know you, so it's not like they're like, that Julius, you know?
Yeah.
It's more that like, you know, they may just actually be full, or they just don't have the time, or things like that. So who didn't
Josh,
Josh is trying to stand up for us.
It's probably for Carlos. I don't think I did tell you maybe that I was working on an album right now.
That's so cool. Does everyone hear that? Josh is working on an album.
And so it's called Earth, but the art in Earth is capitalized.
Oh.
And so
You know that's like a bumper sticker, right? You might have to look into like a copyright situation. That's like a big popular version.
really?
Yeah, seriously. In Portland, everybody has the earth with the art in 3 letters in red.
It's on
Sorry.
Yeah, bursting dreams. Josh.
Sorry, I just mean like
Put a C with a little circle around it.
from a business standpoint, I'm just saying.
So I have a question about like how you in the Catalyst Quartet went about like promotion and budgeting, because that's the goal. That's a struggle that I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out now.
I'll say a few things about that album that we have just released. Number one, the concept was really good. And so you have to have something that you feel you can get, even if it's not really good, that you think it's really good. Like maybe ours is really bad, but we thought it was really good. And you have to really believe in it because you're gonna have to really sell it and convince people that it's important and that it needs to be, it needs to matter. We were lucky that we got a sort of grant that helped us. We knew we were going to be able to pay for the album. We knew, that was going to happen. But we also, that money that we got wasn't for the album. So we did a Kickstarter campaign, which some of you know about, and made a video and ended up exceeding our goal by a lot. And so, bam, we could pay for our album and then make sure we had money to pay for promotion for the album. So for instance, we were just so we're paying $1,500 a month. I'll just be right out with it. We're paying $1,500 a month to a guy who is just putting us on radio across the world. And so he's not even the whole promotional scene. He's just doing radio, $1,500 a month. And we just sent out a bunch of mailings, a few $100s. I mean, this money adds up. So you want to budget that in to say if you're doing a Kickstarter, and just find names of people. Google names of promotional people once you have raised the Kickstarter money or something like that, and make sure that you are also hooking your album onto all your social media and you're blowing up. We changed all of our social media profile pictures to the album cover so that everything that anyone sees of you looks like this album that you're putting out. Do as many, if somebody wants to talk to you for 5 minutes from I don't know where newspaper, get on the phone and talk to them. I mean, Carla and I did 15 or more radio interviews in a row last week for 3.5 hours. We were in a radio station, talking to radio stations all across the country, from Seattle to Atlanta and everywhere in between. And so anytime anyone wants to talk about it, be so excited and talk to them. And ask, is there anyone else you think might want to hear about it? And you just have to sell. But make sure that in your sort of raising money, if you want to go that route, you need to go that route, that you budget in for promotional. Because that's really the most important thing about this art form that we do. I always tell any arts organization or any quartet or any, anything relating to what we do, that your budget should be almost half for PR and marketing. Because it's wonderful to play the most beautiful Bach cello suite, in your room, but unless anyone knows about it, does it really matter?
Right.
I mean, your heart might feel nice, but you want to if you think it's so great, you want everyone to hear it. So you have to make yourself visible, and that costs money. And people are constantly afraid of getting into press marketing and all that stuff, and it's expensive. But that money makes money, and you have to do it.
Were you asking how to get money too?
No.
So you just, what to do after you got the money?
Yeah.
There's some free things you can do as well. I mean, press releases are still, possible, and they're free. So you can really do a good professional press release, and I would look it up on the internet, and send it to all the outlets. You may not be picked up by anybody, but you might be picked up by one, local news, and don't hesitate. Where are you from again? Chicago, right?
Right outside, yeah.
Yeah. The burbs are great for little things. Local boy does good, it has an app, and it's just little things like that. And now, and then now, in the sharing days, that's one article that's written about you. It could be shared anywhere. You just never know. Your friends, all these guys could, blah, 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 retweet you or whatever they do, Instagram it, and it just, you just never know where it can go.
And when you write something like that, actually also when you're writing an email, just like when you're in the recording studio, edit your writing. Make sure you're not the only person, or if you write a Kickstarter thing or other crowdsourced funding thing, make sure you're not the only eyes that have read it. Send it to someone, sleep on it, send it to me, I'll read it.
The last thing I was going to say, is this a classical album?
It's mixed.
Okay,
It's extremely
because,
mixed.
the classical world's very interesting. A lot of the major classical magazines that review things like Strad and those places, they take paid submissions, meaning you can get them to review it for money. So you can factor that also into your budget if you really want them to.
I wouldn't do that, but if you feel you're not getting any buzz, maybe do one and see what happens.
Yeah, and maybe a European magazine. You know what I mean? Because I
you
say
can
this.
blow up in Berlin.
I say this
Yeah.
because in the U.S., in my opinion, they seem to respect classical, US, American classical musicians more if we go out to Europe and like, or get praise, and then we, you know,
That's true.
come back here, you know.
It works the other way
It
too.
works the other way, yeah, so I would do that, there's so many, and just these little blogs that you think, like, who's reading this? All of a sudden, it's become like a, you know, they're credible, they're enough to get you a quote, you know,
Yeah.
things like that.
You had your hand up a while back.
I